Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I finally watched the entire series. It took me one complete year. Obviously I started last year in the summer, somewhere in the summer, and now it is currently the 3rd of July, so there we go. And I officially finished it, so I watched all the 8 seasons, all the episodes, and boy oh boy oh boy did it take a long time, but I finally got there. And today I'm going to make the Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1 review video. So this is great. So let's just talk about it. Obviously the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer originally aired on the WB television network from March the 10th to June the 2nd, 1997. It exceptionally contained only 12 episodes instead of the common 22 from other seasons as well. So there you go. The synopsis. After moving to Sunnydale, California, Buffy Ann Summers just wants to be a normal teenager. Back in Los Angeles, her first watcher has died. She inadvertently burned down the school gymnasium at her old high school, and her parents got a divorce. The move to Sunnydale is supposed to give both her mother and her, Joyce obviously, a clean slate, but then she meets the school librarian, Rupert Giles, and quickly learns that it's no escaping her destiny. With Giles as her new watcher, she reluctantly steps back into the role as the Slayer, but this time she is not fighting alone. She now has an inner circle of special friends: Willow, Xander, Cordelia, and a mysterious young man named Angel, ready to join the fight and drive a stake, obviously, or two in a vampire's heart if need to be. So there we go. Alright, let's talk about it. I'm really excited. So season 1 introduces Buffy's new life in Sunnydale, the Hellmouth, the Scooby Gang, and the overarching villain, the Master, an ancient vampire trapped underground who seeks to rise again. So there we go. Alright, that is really interesting. So this is obviously kind of like a spiritual sequel to the original movie, also made by Joss Whedon, I believe. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the movie don't really connect in a way. Obviously the situation that happened in the movie, so the school and the fight and stuff like that, I've watched it twice, obviously are kind of like canon in the Buffy the Vampire universe, so in the series universe, right? But if you haven't seen the movie, it's not really a big deal. But it's a really interesting beginning, right? Obviously, Buffy burned down the school, her previous watcher died, and now she obviously meets new friends and a new watcher named, obviously, Giles. So there we go. Buffy moves to Sunnydale with her mother Joyce, hoping to leave her Slayer duties behind. However, she soon meets her watcher, the school librarian, Mr. Giles, and befriends fellow students Willow and Xander, who are willing to assist her in fighting demons and, obviously, well, vampires. They soon realize that the town sits atop of a hellmouth, a portal demon dimension. So obviously it attracts supernatural phenomena to the area. Together, the newly formed Scooby Gang confront a series of supernatural threats affecting the school's population as a result of Sunnydale's proximity to the Hellmouth, obviously. These include a witch and controlling mother, a monstrous teacher taking advantage of virgin students. That's kind of suspicious, but yeah, I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer deals with a lot of, I would say, adult topics, but that's kind of weird, but sure. An ignored student turning invisible, school bullies becoming possessed, as well as a never-ending supply of vampires. Buffy develops a romantic relationship with Angel, a mysterious figure who frequently offers guidance and cryptic warnings. Obviously, however, the relationship becomes complicated when Buffy learns the truth about his past. Angel is a vampire whose soul was restored by a Romani tribe many years before. Meanwhile, obviously, their biggest concern is the Master's attempt to reach the surface and take over Sunnydale. He is an ancient and powerful vampire who became trapped by an earthquake caused by his attempt to open the Hellmouth decades before. So Buffy and her friends manage to stop each supernatural threat by combining detective work, physical combat, and extensive research of both ancient mystical texts and supercomputer accessible records as well. Ultimately, the Master enlists the prophesied Anointed One, who leads Buffy to his underground lair, where she dies at the Master's hand. Using her blood, the Master breaks free and is sent to Senate, a high school obviously, which sits directly above the Hellmouth. But that's convenient. However, Xander tracks Buffy with Angel's assistance and quickly revives her. Buffy eventually kills the Master by throwing him onto the shard of wood in the library, and the Hellmouth is closed once again. So that is really interesting. Obviously, the first episode deals with the villains, the Master, obviously Luke and other vampires. References, right, the introduction of the Hellmouth, Buffy's past at Himmery High, first appearance of Angel as well. And obviously, Buffy tries to start fresh at Sunnydale High, but quickly learns the town sits atop of the demonic portal, forcing her back into the Slayer duty. The second episode obviously deals with the Master, Luke and vampires as well. And this is titled The Harvest, continuation of the Hellmouth plot, Jesse's transformation, and Buffy's first major battle in Sunnydale. The Master attempts to open the Hellmouth through the Harvest using Luke as his vessel. Buffy and the gang fight to stop the ritual. The third episode is The Witch, right? It is about Catherine Madison, which is obviously also about witchcraft, introduction of magical threats, mother-daughter identity themes, and obviously cheerleading tryouts turn deadly when a witch begins attacking competitors. Buffy uncovers the dark family secret behind the spells. Right, the fourth episode is Teacher's Pet, which Pet is about a she-mantis, a giant praying mantis as well. Monster of the Week format, right? Xander's vulnerability. A substitute teacher is revealed to be a giant mantis creature that preys on virgin students. Buffy must rescue Xander. I mean, it's kind of really, really stupid and dumb to hear about. Like, oh no, there is a killer mantis on the loose trying to prey on virgins. And that is so stupid and so Buffy coded. So there we go. The fifth episode is Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. It's about the vampires and the Anointed One. Obviously, the prophecy lore, Buffy's struggle balancing normal life and Slayer duty. While Buffy goes on a date, Giles is captured by vampires attempting to raise the Anointed One, a child tied to the Master's prophecy. The sixth episode is The Pack. It's about hyena spirits, possessed students, animal possession mythology, Xander's darker side. Xander and the other students become possessed by demonic hyena spirits, causing violent behavior across campus. The seventh episode is Angel. It's about Dara and vampires. Angel's backstory revealed, vampire soul curse. Buffy's Angel romance begins. Buffy learns Angel is a vampire cursed with a soul, completing their relationship and placing her friends in danger. Eighth episode is I, Robot You, Jane. It's about Moloch the Corruptor, demon in the internet, early internet culture as well, digitized demon lore. Willow unknowingly releases a demon from a scanned ancient book who begins manipulating people through the internet. That's kind of interesting. The ninth episode is The Puppet Show. This is about a demon and an organ harvesting monster as well. The references obviously goes as followed: ventriloquist dummy trope, talent show satire. Buffy suspects a ventriloquist dummy is killing students, but the truth is beyond the murders is more complicated than that. The 10th episode is Nightmares, nightmare manifestations, the ugly man as well, trauma, fear, psychology, and Billy's storyline. Everyone's worst fear becomes real when a boy's nightmare leaks into reality, forcing Buffy to confront her fear of the Master. The 11th episode is Out of Mind, Out of Sight. It's about the Invisible Girl, aka Marcy Ross, social invisibility metaphor, right? Government agency subplot as well. An ignored student becomes literally invisible and begins attacking classmates, leading Buffy to uncover her tragic isolation. This is a very interesting episode. It kind of captures, like I said, that social invisibility metaphor, right? People, and especially in high school, there are certain people that want to be seen but aren't seen. And it's a really interesting, it's an interesting metaphor, right? So the way that they handle like villains or villain type things in certain episodes is really interesting, because it actually tells you something about obviously social commentary or about the world or about people. So there we go. And the last episode, the 12th episode, is Prophecy Girl. It's about the Master and vampires as well, Slayer prophecy and Buffy's destiny, the Anointed One. Giles discovers a prophecy foretelling Buffy's death. Buffy faces the Master in a climatic battle that determines the fate of Sunnydale as well. So there we go. Obviously the main cast of this series, and obviously going forward, is about Sarah Michelle Gellar obviously plays Buffy Summers. Sarah Michelle Gellar, you might know her from obviously her other work that she did quite recently. She was in Ready or Not Part 2, and she was also in Scooby-Doo. She voiced the Star Wars character as well, together with her husband. So there we go, which is really interesting. We have nicholasbrendon as Xander. May rest his soul, I suppose. Nicholasbrendon died, I think, a few months ago as well, by the time of recording. And yeah, it's so sad because another character also recently died, or another actor recently died of the series, which is kind of unfortunate, right? That this amazing, I would say, or this interesting series that, you know, they lost a few people throughout the years, and also other characters that obviously down the line in other seasons will appear, right, as main characters as well. But yeah, alright, so nicholasbrendon is Xander, and he also appears in all 12 of the episodes together with Buffy Summers and an ex-character, which is Willow, and alysonhannigan plays Willow as well. Before watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I watched How I Met Your Mother. That was, what, 4 years ago or 3 years ago, and I already knew alysonhannigan from How I Met Your Mother, and now it's really great to see her as Willow as well. And Willow starts off really quirky and really nerdy, I would say, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. During, I think, season 8, she becomes a full-fledged witch. So guys, that's a spoiler, but it's really interesting how these characters change through the series, right? So there you go. The next one is Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia. She appears in 10 of the 12 episodes, right? And then we have Anthony Stewart Head. May he rest his soul, I suppose, because he also died quite recently, which is unfortunate. Anthony Stewart Head also played in a Doctor Who episode, which is really interesting, and he plays his, obviously, Giles, obviously the Watcher of Buffy, which is kind of interesting, and it's really nice. So there we go. We also have David Boreanaz as Angel. He appears in 7 of the 12 episodes. Yeah, Angel is an interesting character, and a much more interesting character moving forward. He also has his own spin-off series, which I haven't watched, which I think has 5 seasons, right? But yeah, it's also with Cordelia and Angel. They, after season 3, Angel leaves the show and makes, or I suppose has his own show and has his own adventures, right? But yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. And we have Christine Sutherland as Joyce, so obviously Buffy's mother. So there you go. And Mark Metcalf as the Master as well. So there you go. And that's really interesting. So there you go. Those were the 3 main characters, or the 3 other characters that I really want to talk about. So there we go. Alright. That is really interesting. So it had a production line of 4VXX. I'm not quite sure what that says. Behind the scenes production facts. The series served as a mid-season replacement for the soap opera Savannah, and as such exceptionally contained only 12 episodes, as opposed to the 22 from other seasons. And dude, quite recently, the 22 episode count, it's just gone, right? A lot of limited series in that case have 8 episodes, or maybe 10 if you want to really stretch that out, or 13 max, right? But 22 episodes, that doesn't really happen. Dude, that doesn't really happen anymore, because 22 episodes for one season, dude, with all the TikTok kids and the people that watch things on the internet, you don't really have a lot of, I would say, hype for 22 episodes per season. I would love to see that come back. When that comes back, right, I think heaven will appear before us, because I think that's really interesting. But it's also a tough sandwich to eat, man, because 22 episodes per season, it's a lot. But if you actually, like I did, just watch them back to back and just pause a bit and just watch a bit, I think it's kind of doable, right? 12 episodes, they go by very quickly. Although I watched, I think, season 1 last year, so season 1 I think ended, I think I finished it in a month or something, which is not really great on my part. But yeah, I should have just, watched it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should just stop after season 1, and then I obviously continue watching. I was like, maybe I should stop after season 3 and obviously continue watching. and it was a great decision because there were other characters that I absolutely adore, like Spike. That's another character that I really want to talk about. But obviously, that review or that season where he appears in will be later down the line. So there you go. Joss Whedon has stated in season 1 we found that we had a show that people liked. I really thought people were going to laugh at Buffy's Angel thing and say, well, he's a vampire, this is so hokey. But they couldn't get enough of it. It definitely made me realize the soap opera aspect of it, a continuing story of the romance, obviously, and the people of their emotions was really what was fascinating about it. The monsters were all very well and good, but in the first season we were like, let's take our favorite horror movies and turn them into high school stories as well. So yes, that is really interesting. I do really get that because Buffy the Vampire Slayer works very much well on drama, right? It is a series which is all about drama and all about the emotions and the persons on the show, and it's really interesting because you have all your vampires and your demons and your bad guys, right? But I think it's so much interesting when you actually have people talking to one another. It always works in a TV or television series, right? Just like Doctor Who. That's also my favorite sci-fi show, right? Doctor Who also works very, very well when you have just two people talking to one another, right? They can be Daleks or Cybermen or just bad guys, right? But you always have good guys and bad guys, and you need to see their ideologies, right? So there we go. That's really interesting. But let's circle back to Joss Whedon, right? He also wrote for the Avengers and other things. He also wrote or directed the Justice League movie, which people didn't really like. Whatever. I'm really happy that obviously the extended DC universe just, is gone because I didn't really like it in the first place. But Joss Whedon, oh boy. His drama centers on long-running allegations of abusive, hostile, and unprofessional behavior toward cast and crew. I just really want to point that out because it's really, really interesting, and it's really important as well. Obviously, claims that resurfaced publicly in 2020 and 2021 and have continued to shape how his legacy is discussed. The most significant accounts come from Charisma Carpenter, Ray Fisher, and other Buffy's Angel actors, painting a picture of a creator whose conduct allegedly created fear, anxiety, and long-term emotional fallout. So obviously, Carpenter, who played Cordelia Chase, accused Whedon of abusive, belittling, and power-abusive behavior during Buffy and Angel, especially during her pregnancy. She described years of anxiety, isolation, and chronic physical symptoms triggered by his conduct. Ray Fisher's Justice League accusations, right? Fisher called Whedon's behavior in Justice League gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable, prompting a Warner Media investigation. His public stance inspired Carpenter to speak out as well. And other Buffy cast reactions, Amber Benson and Michelletrachtenberg supported Carpenter's account, with Trachtenberg implying rules were put in place to limit Whedon's interactions with her. Sarah Gellar, that is obviously the main character of the series, Gellar reportedly grew frustrated with the show's environment and had a tense relationship with Whedon by later season, though she has not made the same type of allegations as well. No, obviously, because she was the main character and just Joss Whedon probably obviously made sure she was alright and made sure that what he could do was well for the main character, right? Why the drama reignited Carpenter's public statement in 2021, aligned with Fisher's Justice League accusations, creating a wave of renewed scrutiny, right? Multiple actors began obviously sharing their own experiences, shifting Whedon's reputation from feminist genre icon to a figure associated with toxic workplace culture. Think pieces and fandom debates continue to obviously question whether Whedon's cancellation is justified, with some arguing his treatment mirrors broader industry issues as well. The Buffyverse remains culturally influential, but any revival or continuation now exists under the shadow of these allegations. Recent attempts to revive Buffy or Firefly obviously have proceeded without Whedon's involvement, even when creators sought his blessing. Discussions about the franchise often include questions about whether its worlds can continue ethically without their original creator. I think the Buffyverse continue with comic books and as well as Angel, I believe, as well. But same goes for Firefly. I haven't seen that show. I really need to watch it as well because it's on my list. And it's only one season with 12 episodes or something like that. But okay, fair enough. It is really interesting. Obviously, they tried to reboot Buffy the Vampire Slayer quite recently as well, too. And it's really, really sad that obviously Buffy didn't really have a reboot or anything else or a sequel or whatever. It's so sad. Like there was also no Buffy movie or no Buffy. There was a spin-off series like Angel, but there was nothing more, and that's quite a shame because Buffy is really interesting, and I think it will work very well in the most recent times that we're in right now because Buffy is something that a lot of people watched growing up because I talked about this with a couple of people on the internet, and they really liked that. I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they were very excited for me. So there we go. That's really nice. And people in the 90s and the early 2000s grew up watching it. Like my mom also heard about it, but she didn't really watch it or watch it a few times, but didn't really like it. Obviously, it's more tailored towards, I think, I suppose boys as well. It's also for girls, right? It's for girls and boys. You get the main characters, which are girls and boys, and people can actually also associate with them in a way, which is really interesting. So yeah, all right, great. That's pretty much it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I talked about a lot of different things in the first series or season review, but that's quite alright because, like I said, I fully watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer now, and I really need to talk about it because it's such an interesting series, and it's an interesting series because it's so, I would say, very modern, right? They talk about very and they talk about a very array of different themes, right, in the series. Right, obviously it's based in a high school, so you have young students struggling with their emotions, their identity, and it's so interesting. Like I said, Buffy will work so well if it gets rebooted, right? It's still something that a lot of people should watch. Although, like I said, it's the first season is 12 episodes, which is quite doable. Although I took a long time for it, like a month, like I said. And the other seasons are 22 episodes, but once you finish this series, it's actually really, really good. But anyhow, that's more to I guess other season reviews, right? So there you go. Although yes, some dialogue might be cringy and might be clingy, might be cheesy to hear, and I do get that. It's the early 90s or the mid 90s, so a lot of terms that we use right now aren't really used anymore in the series, kind of like other series, right, and other television shows from days of future past, I suppose. But I think not really like swear words, right, but words that we don't really use in 2026 anymore, or by the time you're watching this. So there we go. All right, that's pretty much it. A long as review, but that's quite alright because Buffy is something we need to we need to cherish, right? Although, like I said, the allegations of Joss Whedon aren't really great and put a very bad stamp on the show. It's still a really, really interesting show, and I obviously started watching it when I was 18, so that was last year. Obviously I had a birthday, so I'm now 19, and 20 is just around the corner. And it's really sad and really, really, I would say, emotional to talk about it because I'm turning 20. I'm really like an adult, but I'm also not an adult. I'm still very young, but I'm becoming very old. And it's something that I just want to tell the world that Buffy is for everyone, right? Obviously, it's much more tailored, like I said, for teenagers, but also people in their 20s, right, will also really love the show. And maybe people in their 30s right now that grew up with the show in the 90s might really enjoy it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Goodbye.
We're a team.
You're the Slayer and we're like the Slayerettes.
It's too hard for me to be around. Vampire in love with a Slayer. It's rather poetic. Tomorrow night, Buffy will face the Master, and she will die.
Child, I'm 16 years old. I don't know that.
The Dark Forces are aligning against us.